Hi friends, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. So we got some crazy developments regarding the Sam Altman thing and OpenAI slash ChatGPT. You got to see the headlines for yourself. Let's just jump right in here. OpenAI brings Sam Altman back as CEO less than a week after he was fired by the board. You heard that correctly. So as of November 22nd, he's coming back. So far, I mean, this thing could change again. He was fired about a week ago, and now he's coming back. Here's another headline. Altman to return as OpenAI CEO with Taylor Summers on the new board. So I guess the old board is gone. And essentially, if you've been following this story, they have like 770 employees. 700 threatened to quit if Altman wasn't going to come back. Altman said that he was going to join Microsoft. That was just like yesterday. But I guess that deal's off, and it was interesting because both Salesforce and Microsoft were offering all of the OpenAI employees jobs. Let's read some more details here, and we'll see here. OpenAI will bring back Sam Altman and appoint new board members after nearly all its employees threatened to quit, right? You can see right there, over his surprise ouster. Altman is returning to his role as Chief Executive Officer, and the new board will be chaired by Bret Taylor. So that's the chair. Bret Taylor, he's like the former CEO over at Salesforce. And then also has Larry Sumner's involved, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know why necessarily he's jumping. There's no word on that. I've actually met Larry Sumner's. I don't particularly like him that much. That's just my opinion. You know, you can have your opinion as well. He's not dumb or anything. He's a very smart guy. I just don't particularly like him. But yeah, I guess he's going to be part of the board. And Adam D'Angelo, this guy is the CEO of Quora. And if you don't know what Quora is, it's that that site. Whenever you search something on Google, like how can I fix my car, or is it worth it to fix my old car? Whatever. I use the example of car. It's like that site that gives questions and answers, and then the answers are just kind of coming from the community. I've never understood that site, to be perfectly honest. I do see answers on there, so I have looked at it, and I'm sure you looked at it as well, but it's a weird one to me, and they always want me to make an account, even though I already have one. I don't know. So anyway, so the Quora guy's on there, and I just thought about that whenever I think about Quora. I just never know what to make of it. That one, and there's another one that's kind of like Pinterest. Quora and Pinterest, I never know what to make of, like what these things are. But yeah, he's going to be on there. And then also it says here, the company said in a post on X, / formerly Twitter, it is working to, quote, figure out the details. So we'll get some more on that. Now, Sam Altman made a statement over on X. I'll just read it here. And I guess his handle is Sama, which is a pretty funny one, SAMA. So he must have got that early on. It's a pretty funny one that he got that. So Sam, he says here, I love OpenAI, and everything I've done over the past few days has been in service of keeping this team and its mission together. When I decided to join Microsoft on Sunday evening, it was clear that was the best path for me and the team. With the new board and with Satya's support, I'm looking forward to returning to OpenAI and on building on our strong partnership with Microsoft. So I guess he's coming back. Now, what's actually really quite interesting, when there's drama, there's definitely Elon. So he was adding to the drama. This is a true story. I actually saw when Elon X this thing out, there was an article about that. I was like, okay, what's Elon doing? I'll read the headline and I'll kind of explain the whole thing, how Elon got involved with this stuff. So it says here, Elon Musk trolls his way, such a troll, trolls his way into the OpenAI drama. Elon Musk confounded OpenAI. Co-founded, he's one of the founders, co-founded OpenAI, but left after his own failed coup. So that's interesting. I didn't know about that story. If anyone has any thoughts on that, please let me know. So I guess he wanted to control it, and evidently, couldn't wrestle control or whatever, and then left. And now it also says here, now he has shared an unsigned letter containing unverified accusations against the recently fired CEO Sam Altman. So the reason why I'm laughing is that I actually saw this thing. What happened was Elon Musk said, hey, I got some dirt on Sam Altman, and then they put a link to this thing on GitHub. And so then I went over to GitHub. I didn't screenshot it. I'm just telling you, I read it. And it was like, I want to say 6 different allegations against Sam not being a good person, basically, that kind of stuff. And there was I want to say there's another guy named Greg was mentioned in this thing as well. I think it's Greg, but don't quote me on that one. I saw it, and then I was, just waiting for other, outlets to verify because I just saw this raw letter. And also too, when you looked at the comments on the way down, people were trolling saying, "Hi Elon, how you doing?" So again, this is over on GitHub. And then the letter was signed, basically like employee of OpenAI. So there was no name on it, or employees. Just basically there was no name. So I'm not saying it's all untrue or anything like that. It's just I couldn't verify any of this stuff, and it was a lot of dirt on Sam Altman. So is released by Elon Musk, and I'll let you guys decide. I mean, it's up to you. You can decide, is Elon Musk just making up stuff? Is this a real accusation against Altman? The thing that stands out to me, though, is that at least at the people who are at OpenAI now, because who knows, in the past could have been different, but at least now, they definitely have loyalty to Sam Altman, right? 700 out of 770 were like, hey, if he jumps ship, we're jumping ship too. But there's also money involved with this stuff, right? So there was a big plan to sell shares, employee shares. So that deal was perhaps not on the table. And we're talking about billions of dollars. And so there might have been people that were just really, really ticked that their fortunes that they had planned on were wiped out if Sam Altman were to leave. And the big money were pulling out, these kind of things. So, it's hard to say, I'm telling you the truth, it's hard to say like how much of the loyalty was based on just pure financial thing or more philosophical of like, hey, I believe in Sam Altman's vision for AI. I can't tell you that. I can just tell you there's money involved, and there's the future direction of AI / the companies involved. So a couple different things involved, but you can't separate the two. I mean, they're both clearly important. The other thing too, which I just want to mention because it's all kind of related to this stuff. Elon Musk, I guess, he is suing the Media Matters company. If you guys follow this thing, it's basically Media Matters did an article, and I actually looked at it. And they put screenshots of how essentially Nazi stuff with Hitler and the whole bit was appearing next to various companies' advertising. And Elon Musk is basically saying, you're just making stuff up. So he threatened to sue on like a Friday. Come Monday, he actually sued. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. No opinion on the thing other than I mentioned this to you before that when Apple canceled advertising or pause is the right word, because theoretically they could restart it. To be fair, theoretically, and in multiple companies, I had said originally that don't think this one particular event is the only event that occurred, and suddenly everyone decides to pull ads from Twitter. This is just kind of a bookend to a long series of events. And also too, I thought it was really strange to the way that Elon speaks is like, oh, there's nothing inappropriate on X / Twitter at all. and I laugh because whenever I bring this topic, people always write in the comments of like, Chris, you haven't seen the crazy stuff over at that thing. And I can imagine, guys, I can imagine. So, I read a few things here and there of like what's on there, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to see that kind of stuff. And, for me, it's just a lot of inappropriate content. And when people say, oh, all free speech all day, every day, then that's fine. That might be your thing. But for me, I don't need to see like people taking their clothes off all the time. I don't need to see violence everywhere. I don't need to see people calling each other names. It's just not the platform for me. And so if that's what you get off on, so be it. You have a right to look at whatever you like. But for me, I don't find it bad to like go to YouTube and, maybe some sort of things are inappropriate for children, this kind of stuff. I'm just giving an example. And YouTube's like, hey, that's against our policy. We're not going to show that kind of stuff. So like I'm saying, if I go looking for X stuff, X is example, on the X website, and I expect to see that, then it's going to be there. So my point being is, don't think advertisers are just pulling over one particular event. It's just a series of things. And, if and I get it, I get it more than there's people out there that just don't get the concept. They just don't get the concept that some companies may not want to advertise on a platform like that. The same way that, we'll just go back, the adult site is the easiest one. If you have like a popular adult site, there are some companies that may not want to advertise on a popular adult site. So they're perfectly free not to, advertise if they don't want to. The same way the adult site is actually perfectly free to put whatever they want on that said site. So, I don't know if this particular report, to Elon Musk's defense, if he's going to be able to prove that these people are just making stuff up. I mean, he's suing, and we're going to find out. And I always think that's fun about the court cases. I will say, though, regarding the whole Twitter situation, remember, Elon Musk tried to get out of buying Twitter and only got forced into buying it. So we'll see how the thing goes, and then that's Elon Musk for you. And regarding also to the AI drama, NVIDIA reported their earnings. The real big takeaway is NVIDIA does continue to make money. That's completely true. The revenue does grow, but the big question is going to be what's going to happen with China. That's really the big question, because the U.S. government is, essentially trying to limit the amount of chips that are heading that direction. There's always really interesting reports of like how far behind is China than the U.S. chip manufacturing. Moreover, there's also, I've seen reports where like a lot of the Chinese companies have like stockpiled on chips for a while. So I do think that this sort of AI hype is still going to keep going, but we'll see what the markets think of it. When NVIDIA first put out their earnings, the stock went down like 5%, but then it recovered. That was in the after hours, but we'll see how the day opens up again, because kind of the word on the street at the moment is that the Fed is a little bit more serious than people think about keeping rates higher for longer. Even though they say that, the market always, tries to go for the more rosy of scenario. I did notice the dollar was falling the last couple of days. I track that, all the time, because I live here in Korea, and I see the dollar change. I literally have it on the front of my phone. It had fallen, the dollar had fallen quite a bit, but definitely recovered in the last few hours. So we'll see. So at the moment, dollar is ticking back upward. However, it's definitely lost some in the last week or so, something like that. And then moreover, we don't talk about the war all day, every day, but I do read all the news. And I just want to mention this one because this is a big piece of news. So I guess there's a hostage deal that looks like it's happening. So this is my understanding of it, is that Hamas is freeing 50 hostages, and then on Israeli side, they're going to free 150 prisoners. So it's like a prisoner swap is sort of how I read that. And I mentioned to you that is a thing that's probably going to happen. Usually, generally speaking, you don't say publicly that, we are negotiating with terrorists or, people who take hostages, but they clearly are negotiating something. And I guess Qatar brokered the deal. So let's hope there's some sort of peace deal happening. Let's hope so. And bring an end to this. And then we can focus more on, I guess, quote, important things like who is the CEO of OpenAI. I'm making a joke. This is something I when I do this news and I hang out with you guys every day, I want you to remember this kind of little moments in your life, because I think this kind of sequence of events this particular year of the war with Israel and Hamas, and then also this AI technology stuff, that what's happening with the Fed, and we have a U.S. election coming up. I think this little era of the bubble and the bubble popping is really going to go down in history as being a really interesting era. I can't predict how we're going to read it 10 years from now, but I'm just saying, just keep these things in mind, because it'll be fascinating if this OpenAI thing ends up being like likened to the early days of Microsoft / Apple. It may. I don't. There's no way to know if OpenAI is going to be the number one company going forward, but they certainly have a lot of big money backers, and when you see kind of the fight for control of it this early on, and I know that this isn't like the founding of it, this isn't today, but I'm just saying this is still early in the game for the AI stuff. People seem to keep jumping on the bandwagon and now fighting over control. So there's a lot of money involved. That's why I said sort of mark your calendar and remember these days of this. And this is probably not the end of hearing Sam Altman's name. So anyway, I do appreciate your time, everyone. Love to hear your thoughts on this stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video.